Hey vinyl community, Elliot here, Lazy Dogs Records, and this is my entry into Mazzy's San Francisco 3 million contest. He's got 3 million, or at least he's coming up on 3 million subscribers. So I wanted to get in on the contest. Don't have a lot of time, I'm very long-winded, so I'm going to have to cram all this in quickly. The theme is San Francisco. Recording artists with a connection to San Francisco. There's a million of them, of course. My pick is going to be David Grissman, and specifically this album, Old and In the Way. Now, there's so many San Francisco connections with this one. First of all, David Grissman is originally from New Jersey. He ended up by the early 70s in San Francisco. It seems like people migrate to California. If they're more commercial oriented, they end up in Los Angeles to make a bunch of money. If they're more artsy oriented, they end up in San Francisco to expand their art. So this particular album is a bluegrass album, of course, and it features David Grissman, who produced the album, Peter Rowan, Jerry Garcia, John Kane, and Vassar Clemens. And this was recorded at the boarding house in San Francisco in the fall of 1973. Next, movies with a setting or connection to San Francisco. I thought of 3 really good movies. I love film noir and the Maltese Falcon, made in 1941, I believe, the Humphrey Bogart movie. A great example, takes place in San Francisco. Like most film noir, they're either very confusing, hard to follow, or they don't make any sense. You know, the parts don't fit together. It's like they edited it and somebody was drunk when they edited it and they left off key parts to it. Okay, and I'd also mention one of my favorite directors, of course, Alfred Hitchcock. Set Vertigo with James Stewart, one of my favorite actors, in the key role there, and that takes place in much of it, or all of it takes place in San Francisco. But the one specifically going to show you is Bullet from Steve McQueen movie. That Mustang flying up and down the streets of San Francisco, literally up and down. Literature. I'm going to pick Jack Kerouac, who's actually from Massachusetts, but he ran up and down the highways of United States and Mexico for many years. He wrote the book On the Road, a classic Beat Generation book. He hated that moniker, Beat Generation, kind of denied it, said he wasn't a beatnik, he was a Catholic. But specifically, and of course the Dharma Bums is a really good book too. Some of it takes place in San Francisco. The way they advertise these paperbacks, I've had these books for many years, they make it out like it's the hippie stuff. That he didn't have anything to do with hippies. And he didn't even really consider himself a beatnik, as I said. But the one specifically taking place in San Francisco is The Subterraneans. He wrote this one, got it published in 1958. It's actually originally took place in New York City. It's about a brief love affair with a carefree lady that worked based on an affair he had with an African American lady in New York. When he went to the publishers, they liked the book, but they wanted him to change the setting, so the setting changed. He edited it, and the setting changed from New York to San Francisco. Next is an artist or artwork of some sort, San Francisco related, and I'll mention Dennis Larkins, who did a lot of poster art for Bill Graham and Grateful Dead stuff.